Welcome to another episode of the First Rodeo Experience. Today we are joined by none other than Matthew Reidy. He is currently a student at UK. He's done a lot inside the game of horse racing in just his 20 short years of life here. You might recognize his face from the winner's circle of the Belmont Stakes. So we hope you enjoy this conversation with Matthew Reidy. All right, I got the joy to welcome on Matthew Reidy, a fellow Matthew here. A pleasure to join him. He's one of the young guns in the game. He's reporting live from where? Lexington, Matt?
Lexington, Kentucky, baby. Horse
I know you
racing
don't
country.
like Matt. I know you like Matthew.
Nah, no biggie, no biggie. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of
Uh,
course. Thanks for joining us. Matthew and I met at Turfway, actually, with Alex, one of our prior guests at Turfway
yeah,
one jury night. That's how you know you're into the game if you're buzzing around Turfway. Uh,
yeah.
so I guess what all got you started within horse racing? Let's start there.
All right, so I was just fiddling around high school, and it was my junior year, and I was at the school Christian Academy of Louisville, and COVID was happening, and I just didn't really know what to do. I had no I was sleeping during class when Zoom meetings would be on, and didn't know really what to do. And my next door neighbor happened to be Hal Wiggins, who trained Rachel Alexandra through the Kentucky, till the Kentucky Oaks, and then Asmussen took over. Um, I sat down and had dinner with him, talked to him about maybe going walking hots on the racetrack, and he says, "Well, you're not going to go. I'm not going to get you a job until you prove to me that you like it." So I went out the next morning to his son's barn when his son was still training Lon Wiggins out at trackside in Louisville, and man, it hooked me on, dude. This one horse, that first horse I walked was I can't remember its name, but man, it was an ass. I'll say that. It was not easy. And I didn't really know what to do with my hands, if I should, how I should walk it, or what I should do. But yeah, no, I fell in love with it, dude, from right there. And he's like, on the car back, he drove me, and on the car ride back, he's asking me, did you like it? And I'm like, dude, this shit's so cool. I'm like, he goes, well, you want to go back tomorrow? So he called this guy named Steve Margolis, who trained Cajun Bee, who won the Breeders' Cup Sprint, uh, 04, 03-ish, that era. And I started with Margolis that next morning. Margolis had 17 at the time. Um, this guy named Zeke Castro was the assistant. Good dude, man. Good people. Really brought me in. They really taught me, the right, way to handle a horse. How to groom a horse. Things like that. And man, I fell in love with it. Walking horses to the track. Just seeing horses go galloping by you. It's just like that sound is the best. I can't get enough of it. Still to this day, I can't get enough of it. But so yeah, I worked for Margolis for a month. Margolis went to Ellis Park. So this is when Churchill Downs was redoing the turf course for the first time. So they kicked everybody out. Michael McCarthy happened to be in the same barn, and Justin Curran, the assistant for Michael Still, basically he pulled me aside. So after I was done working for Margolis that one morning, and he says, "Hey, would you be interested in coming joining us? We're gonna go to Turfway," and happened to have family in Turfway, and I just stayed up there through the summer. Um, Pretty boring, I'll say Northern Kentucky is, except for the wintertime when I can go sit at Turfway and have a couple of drinks and not remember a thing the next morning. Um, but man, I learned a lot that summer. I worked with some good horses, went to good places, got to travel, places like Charlestown, Horseshoe, Indianapolis, Belterra. Belterra is probably one of my favorite tracks ever, just because how nice it is, and the casino and the turf. I love the turf course there. They never run on it, but I love it. So quick story for you. So the first horse I ever groom and ran to the races, like the bibs, and this filly named Moart is an Uncle Mo filly out of a mare named Jonro. Cheyenne Stables owned her, and Justin sent me there by myself. I was kind of nervous being my young, 17-year-old self, and he's calling me. He's just like, make sure you got the bridle on right. He's like FaceTiming me, make sure it's all correct, and bandages are on. This filly was like, I don't know, 4 to 5 on the morning line, maiden special weight, turf filly, but they were running. They came off because of the rain the rain in morning before, and he calls me. He goes, just tell Perry to go to the lead and don't look back. Well, so they get in the gate. She doesn't break the best, and Perry Oots decides to take her back all the way. They're going a mile and 16. And they blew off the half in like 52-3, and I'm like sitting there like, oh my Lord, what are we doing, Perry? And all of a sudden she makes this 3 wide sweeping move, and she wins by like 16. And dude, I thought you could have thought I won the Kentucky Oaks with her. I was ecstatic, I did the job, and then that was awesome. So yeah, that was the first horse I ever groomed. I will never forget that. I actually had that in my house in Louisville. I got that framed above my bed. It's like a 18 by 20 print of Belterra Park, and everybody that comes to my house or my buddies from school are like, Reidy, is that Kentucky Derby or what is that? I said, no, that's all Belterra Park.
Yep. I got a big ass poster from our first win at Keeneland. I mean, we were lucky it was Keeneland, but I'm
Oh
just saying,
yeah, the Thunder.
15K claimers,
I
You got a
remember.
good memory, man. You like you know his horse like the back of your hand. It's
No,
impressive.
yeah, no. I remember you texting. No, I saw it on Instagram, on First Rodeo's Instagram, and I'm like, oh shit, you claimed a horse, and it's like 30-1. And all of a sudden, I'm looking on Twitter, and these guys are all picking this damn horse to win the race. I'm like, this horse is 30-1. And all of a sudden, I look at it, it's getting bet. It's getting bet. I'm like, oh, that's just Matt and the boys betting.
Oh yeah.
And this thing wins. I'm like, God damn, the look of the draw. And dude, winning at Keeneland, something special, man. Um, Very blessed to done it with McCarthy numerous times and win races like the Haggard Fayette with Independence Hall. But there's nothing like winning at Keeneland. I'm sure you can say the same thing.
Oh yeah. I guess that's pretty crazy. I mean, I feel like that's one of the beauties of horse racing. If you want to get involved, there's a way to get involved fairly quick. It sounds like you were like 16, 17, just dipping your toes in, and that was what, like
Yeah.
3, 4 years ago? You're like 20 now. You're at UK, right?
Yep, I'm at the University of Kentucky. I left last semester, which might have been the dumbest decision of my life. Actually, take that back. It's not the dumbest decision of my life. I'm glad I went and did it. I moved to South Florida for about 7 months. I lived in Wellington, Florida. Rent's not cheap there. Worked at Palm Meadows for Riley Mott. Things did not work out with Riley. Still have a tremendous amount of respect for that guy and his team. He does a great job. I started working for Danny Gargan, horse like Dornock, and his team's great. Priscilla's great. Carol's great. They got some of the best team. Things didn't work out, and then things did work out, and I went up to Saratoga with him on May 1st, so I missed the Bluegrass and I missed the Derby, which is things I did not want to miss, being a barn foreman in somebody's barn with a big horse like that. And honestly, and I told many people, I told Jason Worth this story. I said, I called your horse a rat many times because I was watching him at work at Palm Meadows, and he wouldn't want to go buy fillies, We worked him with this filly named Ringy Dingy going a half mile, and I'm sitting there clocking him. And I'm like, Priscilla, it's time to go. Priscilla, it's time to go. You gotta get going. And he finally goes out past the 5/8 pole, but he doesn't want to go buy horses. I don't know how he is to this day. I don't work with him no more. So but he was and then going to Belmont. Obviously, I saw you at Ciro's, and we had a good time.
Oh
and
yeah, we got after it. But it
yeah,
was
we
cool,
got
man.
out.
It was cool. Like you were buzzing around with the horse, in the paddock, and
Yeah,
you're on Fox, like
yeah,
shaking hands with Jason Worth. It's like once in a lifetime. You really can't replicate that and really anything else.
right.
Unless you're the next LeBron James. It's tough to have that meteoric rise. Where all of a sudden you're connected to like potential like 3-year-old champion. I guess we can kind of get into now. Okay, like what's going through Matthew's head right now? You're 20 years old now. You've done some things in horse racing. You're getting your education at UK. Horse racing, obviously, it's a game where purse numbers are record. The
Right.
$42 million yearlings, the first two books at Keeneland. But then you also have news of like, okay, like handles, it's up, it's down, it's
Right.
otherwise. It's certain tracks are closing, some are in flux. I guess how do you kind of view like your very very young career? I mean, like you could argue your career's barely even come off the ground, but I'm curious how I'm 26, so I'm curious how a 20-year-old that's been in. I think you've been more involved in the game than I have been personally. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts of okay, what do you think of the industry? What do you think of it making a career of it long term?
I've definitely some things I've definitely slept on. Being in the horse racing industry, waking up at 4 a.m. is not my cup of tea. I love going to watch. Once I'm up, I love it. It takes me forever to wake up. Many cups of coffee or many, Red Bulls or whatever you want to call it. Just I mean, my thoughts of being in horse racing and my thoughts of being in school. Actually, Jake Ballas and Matty Matt Miller told me, Matthew, it's probably not a good idea to leave school. Um, and I thought it was, at the time I was struggling in school, was doing fraternity things and just wasn't doing well. And I was just like, I need something I still have a passion for, and I always had a passion for horse racing, and I missed it. Like I was always at Keeneland, I was always skipping class, and you know how it is, and you just want to go bet the horses and watch the ponies go in a circle. And I was like, well, man, I'm gonna leave school. I shouldn't say one of the worst decisions of my life, but one of the dumbest decisions I've made was leaving school. You got 4 years to get a degree and have a plan B. Uh, Besides the industry. I don't think horse racing down long term is my cup of tea, especially the training and the barn work. And I definitely could see myself doing something sales wise or, um, going and picking out horses and stuff like that, or managing, syndicates or something like that. I love the business side of it. I don't love the work. Um, I've done it for 4.5 years now, and can't say I miss it. I miss the people. Made some good friendships. Brendan Walsh's assistant, Charlie Lynch, is one of my best friends to this day. Talk to him about every other day. Jake Ballas and Matt Miller, some great human beings that I've come to be very close with, and I consider them family. Stuff like that. But I'm glad I'm back in school. I miss it, but for the most part, I gave this kid named Jake Wells up in Saratoga some advice over the summer. He was hot walking. I'm not sure for who, but he was hot walking, and he's like, Matthew, I know been in the industry for quite a while. And I sat him down. Actually, I sat down to him one afternoon. I was done feeding. I went over to the barn. I told him, Jake, don't make this long term. You're young. Go to school. Enjoy it, dude. I missed a lot. I went to one high school prom with a girlfriend, and I had in high school. I missed every other prom. Football games on Friday nights, missed it because I was working. I was at Churchill Downs on a Friday night in the eighth race at 4:45 or whatever. Getting horses ready instead of doing stuff to be young. Horse racing will always be there. That's what I've come to learn. Um, I'm still involved in some way, either being walking around the sales with Jason Worth's son Jackson, or helping black type thoroughbreds out on social media, or going to the races and just shaking hands with Buff Bradley or you name it. Um, but I'm glad I'm in school. I'm glad I can still be a kid. The good thing is, me and you are both young. You've graduated. I have not graduated yet. There's definitely different options there, but I'm very blessed to have had an option to go back to school and it not being too late. You don't want to be that old 30-year-old walking around class, going to class with 18-year-olds. That's what Maddie told me, and it really struck when she said that, because I was like, yeah, that would kind of be a little awkward. Like you're
Well,
that weird
I
old.
will say, like, as a counterpoint, I think you're super mature for your age. I think part of it is like obviously how committed you were to horse racing. It's super um, respectable. I respect the hell out of you for putting in all those work, all those hours, all those days. Like I remember when I met you, like, I thought you were probably like 25, like we kind of more like
Ah,
my era, 25,
yeah,
26 year old, like. But I didn't realize until we were going to zeros after the races that you were 20. You were like, yeah, like, is it good that I'm under 21 to get in there? I was like, bro, I like the way you carry yourself,
Yeah.
the way you everything. It's like, I was like, all right, you have no
And
problem getting in.
yeah.
Like, I
I
got,
don't even. I think I like told you. I was like, Matt, I'm gonna go around the. No, no, we snuck in. They tried to stop us, and I kept walking. See ya.
that's so funny. That's
That
too
was a
funny.
dude. That was a great night in Saratoga. But the things I've done at 20 years old, or some things my buddies thinks that are awesome. Winning the Belmont Stakes, dude. You don't know how many people called me kid wise. Thinking I just won the lottery. Holy shit, Reidy, that's so awesome. My buddy Wandale Robinson, who plays in the NFL now for the New York Giants. Um, he called me right after the race, and I answered it on the track. He's like, "Holy shit, Reidy, that's fucking awesome!" And I was like, "Dude, like those guys like thinking of that as calling me and stuff like that. That means a lot. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to actually. Wandale's interested in getting in the industry now, and I've called him, and there might be some down the road, might be some future investments from NFL players and from the New York Giants.
That's really cool. I'm a Giants
Yeah,
fan. So that's even cooler
yeah,
for me.
yeah, yeah. Except that
Yes.
they,
It's really cool too. I mean, like obviously, like UK is in Lexington, so like the Keeneland connections right there. I think Keeneland sponsors like some football guys. I remember, I think it was like Claiborne or someone had. I think it was like might have been like Laura Will. They had like an NIL deal with Will
Will
Levis.
Levis. Yeah,
So that's
that was
cool. So
yeah,
like, it's
yeah,
kind of
that was
cool,
sick.
seeing like the UK grads get into the NFL and then remembering their Keeneland roots. It's like
Right.
horse racing, everything,
Yeah.
everything there. I guess like even kind of circling way back, like just are you like originally from Kentucky? Is that kind of what
Well,
for
yeah.
obviously you said you had the training connection as your neighbor and you had dinner and that kind of was the initial spark to kind of and then you caught the bug obviously, but it's super unique, like when you're in Kentucky it's like synonymous,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
not anywhere else. It's weird though. It's like if you I grew up in Jersey and it's like people are like
Yeah.
horses, what the hell are you doing with that? Blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. It's
Yeah.
like people don't realize outside of the state of Kentucky kind of what all horse racing is all about. Like pretty much people only know the Derby and CDI. Say what you want about it. They've done a very very good job with the
They've done a
Derby
great
and kind of
job.
being good
Yeah.
stewards of the sports there. I guess like on that front, like from your experience within the industry, and like I think you're super unique point of view. Someone that's currently in school that has a ton of industry experience in terms of like 4+ years working with horses. If you were, yeah, I've asked like some of these questions to every guest. You might have listened to that interview with Alex, but if you were, the Mike Rapoli, the commissioner of horse racing,
Yeah.
what you wake up tomorrow, you're commissioner. What's your first order of business?
That's a good question. Well, I actually grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio. Lived there for 5 years, and then I moved to Louisville. My mom
What?
took a job here. Uh, yeah. So if I was the commissioner of horse racing for first day, that'd be a good question, man. I think the whole HISA thing needs to get figured out. I'm actually not. I was very upset when Weaver got suspended for about it was 2 years he got, and that came too quick. That it was they found him, not, or they redid their exam or whatever they want to call it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know really what I would change for my first order of business would be. I think there's definitely need to be like a group with the owners. I think that everybody needs to be more united. There's a lot of hate on Twitter between two significant owners in the industry, and I think you know who I'm talking about. Two of the guys I like, John Stewart's one of the greatest guys, coolest dudes ever. Got one of some of the coolest car collection I've ever seen, and he's got, he's up and coming. He's got some good horses, and obviously Puka and you name it. Mike Rapoli, man, he's came from the ground up, man. Body armor, no bull, you name it. So it's just I respect both of them. You'll never hear a bad thing out of my mouth about either one of them. I think they do a lot of hate. I don't know if it's a game to them on Twitter or what it is, but recently I've tried to stay off Twitter, you know, a lot. I'm out of the game sort of. I couldn't tell you the last time I actually watched a true horse race. So I actually don't really know what I would do, but there definitely needs to be an ownership, like unite the ownership people need to be united. It doesn't need to be hate. What I see at the sales all the time is people not saying hey to each other. It's just they keep walking with a straight face. I don't know if it's people not being social, people don't know how to smile, or what it is. But I mean, I don't know. I just think the ownership needs to be. There's something needs to there just needs to be united. People need to come together and not hate each other. And it's like the whole world. There's a lot of hate in this world. So I think there's only up to the people. You can say whatever you want, but it's up to the people at the end of the day. So
Yeah, it's like it's horse racing is such a unique sport in a sense where there's like so many different stakeholders. Like in the NFL, you got 32 owners. Baseball, it's a finite
right,
number. Like any major league sport, it's like okay, there's a finite number of owners, and they all get together and like they basically hire the commissioner, and the commissioner kind of is the liaison between all those owners. There's just so many owners in horse racing where I think it's
right,
hard to have like that united front and have people realize like hey like we're all in a sense on the same side here. It's just such a unique setup. I think that's part of the beauty of it and part of the curse of it. It's hard to you know rally the troops because there's so many troops across the country and like obviously like HISA being rolled out. Like I don't know what all goes into it. Like I'm separated from like the hands-on side of things, but it's I guess that's a start in a sense of like trying to get united rules across the states because before that it was like you had the New Jersey Gaming Commission and the New York Gaming Commission and the Kentucky Gaming Commission and like they all kind of had their own rules and
right.
wasn't united there. So it's kind of crazy how much money's at stake within horse racing and all the money in the sales and the purses and breeding and it just still seems like it's kind of
Yeah,
operating like the school playground, like recess at times, the way some of the things happen. I think part of it's kind of cool, just the kind of the moving and shaking that happens within it. But part of it's like, all right, like you gotta be a little bit more professional here. Like at the end of the day, like horse racing, it's there's like two like the two like voluntary groups, the owners, and then the the gamblers, and those are the people that fund
right.
the entire sport. So it's like,
Yep,
all right, let's keep our eye on the ball here, and tracks and all the regulations and such is set up to give both the owners and the gamblers the best experience when they decide to get into this game and decide to invest their money, whether it's buying a yearling, claiming a horse on the ownership side, or putting in a 10-cent super. You should feel the goal should be that those two groups of stakeholders feel secure that they're getting a fair chance at it, which I think HISA has addressed, um, as well as okay, let's put the best, the most quality product in front of people because there's a million different things people can do. Obviously, sports gambling's now basically legal nationwide. I know some states, some in one state that isn't. But
right.
we're no longer like horse racing is no longer the only legal game at out there.
Yeah, it's definitely taken effect on the interest of horse racing for sure, and in my eyes at least. I think kids my age would rather go bet Kentucky money line against University of Georgia than than the Thunderer and an allowance option claimer. 3 years ago, buddies of mine would go to the track and want to gamble. Now it's Reidy, we can sit down on my phone and sit in front of a TV and bet right on the phone. Well, we can do that with horse racing too, but they're more interested in college football, NFL. It's not that they don't like the horse racing, but it's you can cash out at any time and
Yeah.
the sports gambling.
What do you
Just
what do you think could change that? Like what do you think could reverse that trend and kind of get people to get eyeballs back on horse racing?
That's a great question. I definitely think there needs to be a younger people in the industry that have the love for it. Every person I've taken to Keeneland, man, I brought two of my fraternity brothers with me, Charlie and Ethan, to the sale the other day, and man, they're like, "This is cool." Meeting John Secura, and you're telling them they're asking me who that is, and you know, talking to guys that are buying horses and what their thoughts are, and how to look at a horse's hip, and to see if it's strong in the hind end. But you know, I don't know. It's just It's the kindness of people that needs to what happened to and the respect of younger people in this industry. There's not enough respect for guys that are 20 through 26 years old like yourself. They have no older people in the industry have no respect for us, uh, and I don't know how to change that. I think more and more younger people I keep seeing in the industry are doing well. Guy that sticks out to my mind is Jess Secura. He's the son of John Secura, man. I see him everywhere I go. The sale, the track, he's everywhere. Saratoga, Del Mar, Santa Anita, he's everywhere. Um, he gets respect because he's Hillendale. But like guys like me and you that don't have the upbringing like that, or we don't get that. I don't know how to change that. I don't know if it's just money or what it is, but there definitely needs to be some respect for us younger people, and I think that's what would put more younger people. I don't exactly know like what a or what would bring more younger people to this sport. It's a very expensive industry. The ownership is very, very expensive, as you know. You're paying your trainer's rate, day rate, the vet bills. Horse colics. It's a $15,000 surgery. Everything. You're paying the grooms. You know how it is, and it's just I don't know. It's just this expensive industry, and it's not going to go anywhere. People are like, "Oh, horse racing's dying." It's not. It's not going to go anywhere. We have CDI. The smaller tracks might. But I truly don't know what would bring more younger people to the sport, but I'm very worried about having younger people there 10 years down the road. And that's why I'm back in school. I've thought about this very hard, and I think it's a good thing that I'm back in school, just because 10 years, 5 years down the road, it's like, damn man, where's this game gonna be?
Yeah,
So
I think that's like the scary part too. I mean, I remember when I kind of introduced to the sport just from the gambling side, growing up in Jersey, and then I was living in South Carolina. I graduated from Clemson in 2020. Was
okay,
working a remote job, just like would follow the sport mainly through the Triple Crown season, but I got super into it one summer. Read all Byers' books and all like Dadowitz's books, and got super into it from a gambling side. I got like like the number kind of brain where I enjoy kind of the puzzle of putting a race together.
right,
And then one day I was on Twitter, and there's a group like called like Amplify Horse Racing, and
yep,
their mission's all about getting younger people into careers within horse racing. And I really got introduced to the sport properly through that. I was like, I just applied to our mentorship program. I was like, screw it. I wasn't even really supposed to be allowed in it because I was graduated from college, but got into it. My mentor, Shannon Casignola, she was awesome. She was at the time working for Woodford Thoroughbreds, and she was working with the consignment there. So I attended, Keeneland in September. I got connected to like Connor Foley one of the days at the sale, and kind of like that spun into like, all right, like maybe I want to try for like try to go on like a Dolphin Flying Start and like see if I can like, make a career out of this. Because like I was like much like you, I kind of caught that bug. I was a little bit older. I was like 21, 22 at the time. Caught the bug, and I was like, all right, like I moved down to Ocala. I'm gonna work with the babies, in their like education process from being like a yearling to
right.
2-year-old. And I was like, I told my mom this like story, I'm like got fresh out of college, got a little bit of like student loans from my mechanical engineering degree. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna quit my job and work on horses down in Florida. And she was like, what
uh,
the fuck are you doing, man?
yeah,
And
yeah,
I was like,
that would
and I
definitely
was
be
like,
something my mom would say.
she was a really good advisor. She was like, all right, why don't you just like I was like ready to just like dive headfirst into it because I got the bug pretty hard. And she was like, all right, like why don't you just go down there and like, still keep your engineering job because it's remote. I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. So I'd work like mornings like 4 to 8:30 with the horses, and then 9 to 5 my engineering job for like 3 months out in Ocala, and then just decided like I wasn't really. I was kind of came to the realization that you have like, okay, it's not so much. I like work. I like waking up early. I like working with the horses, but like I was a little
Yeah,
spooked. Like just
yeah.
being around people getting kicked and shit. I was like, I don't need all that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
not an adrenaline guy. I was like, shit, I
yeah,
don't want to get on a horse. Like
yeah. You'll definitely never see me on the back of a horse. Never.
yeah.
I've seen I've seen
I,
too many things, man.
yeah,
There's no way. I know how these. It's a 1,000 pound animal, and it's
yeah.
just I don't.
Mad
You could
respect to
never.
people that do, but it's
Oh,
like
I have a shit ton of respect for the people that
yeah.
do. I think it's a horrible lifestyle. Um, and I don't. You can't be normal to ride a racehorse in the mornings. I don't think you can. You got to be a little bit crazy. I think you got to be a little bit crazy to work with horses in general. The 4 a.m. and I don't know, man. It's just I'm glad I'm back in school. That's the bottom line. Is anything I can tell anybody younger than me is stay in school.
That's kind of more of the story there. There was like I kind of got into it, did my show, and I was like, I remember my mom had the same fucking. She was trying to get me to not even go down to Florida. She was like, "Matt, it's a dying industry. Like,
It ain't.
what are you putting your money in? Blah blah blah." And I was like, I'm a glass half full guy. There, like I don't think it's like it's not over the hill by any means. I mean, the key metrics that you track, they paint a
Yeah.
murky story of it. But I think like there's still so much beauty in the sport itself. Beauty in the horse, beauty in everything that goes behind it, and like so much fun. Like you said, like the business side of things. Like no matter what angle if you're that horse person that really likes the connection with the horse. There's that. The business side, there's that. The gambling side, there's that. There's so many facets of the sport that need to be celebrated that I feel like aren't properly celebrated and
Right.
aren't properly being ushered into the new generation. Like I read like a quote. I think it was one of the one of the one of the a guy from the Taylor family, and it was like I hope I'm not misattributing this quote, but it was something about as you know Americans, humans have been more separated from horses. That gap has kind of led to you know less understanding of kind of how all this stuff works. So it's
Right.
like okay, like obviously like horses is arguably like America's original sport. Okay, and then that was when we were still like before the Model T we even had cars. Cars get introduced. Horses aren't really part of people's lives. As years have gone by, the horse is more separated from human. Where now it kind of has these like specific functions where like okay, oh you're
Right.
only getting exposed to a horse in these scenarios. That's something that you definitely have to overcome. Like it all kind of comes back to that. But at the same time, I feel like for me, one thing I always come back to it's like there's no reason why it should be this difficult to like gamble on horse racing in legal states. I'm in Texas. I can't gamble on horse racing on my phone like on Twin Spires.
Yep.
It's simulcast only. I understand that horsemen, they're not wanting to go to a model that clearly doesn't work purse wise in like Great Britain where it's like, really bet through bookies versus, like parimutuel. I think
Right.
parimutuel is awesome in terms of gambling,
It's a
but
great
there's
thing.
no reason that your buddy's sitting on the couch at freaking UK with the epicenter of horse racing where they got no interest in horse racing because they're on FanDuel and, the six at Belterra isn't on the FanDuel app, so they're not going to be able to parlay around that.
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
it's about getting in front of the people that are going to like be the future of the sport to like kind of allow people, like ourselves to feel like okay, this is a safe thing to like bet on like for career
Right.
wise. So it's like it's super like concerning like as an industry that like people like yourselves who are like nah like I can't like it's like I can't see this working out long term. I can't see myself making a career with this. Um, but I like one of the ideas I have is like let's figure out a way to get horse racing in front of more eyeballs. And I think clear as day, you have the DraftKings FanDuel way where,
Yeah.
okay, now all of a sudden it's NFL Sunday. You could throw the fifth at Churchill this weekend on your parlay. That'll juice it up too. Like there's a
Yeah.
live push like at 5 to 1.
Yeah.
Well, let's fucking throw that,
Right.
that guy on there. And then all of
And
a sudden, like you introduce people to the sport that way. I think like
yeah.
it's like outside of like Triple Crown days, it's like the sport doesn't do a good job getting eyeballs in front of like the next generation of like, your gamblers and your owners, which like I said, like is the
Right.
two main stakeholders that we gotta concern ourselves with.
Yeah. And one thing, another point I wanted to catch on just with you too is the media's outlook on our industry, man. Our full crop's down every year tremendously. I think this past year might have been 18,000 maybe 500 somewhere in there. It might have been 19,000, but 3 or 4 years ago when I started, it was 23,000. 23,000 foals in the United States, and it's gone down quite a bit. It's the same thing with the staffing, man. These barns, like these guys, Hal Wiggins I've talked to, man, they used to have guys lined up. If you weren't there that morning on time, you were out. Guy was waiting to take your job at the barn. You know, when I was working for Danny Gargan, man, you couldn't find help. If one groom quit because he didn't like what his paycheck was, you wouldn't have a groom for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and you were groomlet. 5 horses didn't have a groom, and we had foremans going and jumping in, and grooming and mucking stalls and brushing horses off and tacking them up. But that's not a true groom. A groom is 5 horses, and that's your job. But one thing I think the younger people I take to this game, and I'll catch on this. Just this is not media based, but the younger people I take to the track, and they love it, man. They love the betting aspect of it. But the one thing I always ask them is, when I'm leaving, is if you'd ever work in this industry, and the answer has always been no. I've always wanted to change that answer. I think it's a great industry. Money is definitely a big aspect to this game, but they're always, horses break down, they die. To horse. The one thing is, people that don't have any background of horse racing is the drugging, the breakdowns, and the cheating. I don't know how to get that away from people. There's cheating out there for sure. There's definitely done things the wrong way, but anything that's done with money there's always cheating around. But the media aspect and the younger people's views and just the respect is things I've always been concerned about in this industry. So
Yeah, and there's like that.
maybe you can
There's
catch
like the
one.
whole. Did you have you seen like the whole like light up racing campaign and like the things that they're
Yeah,
trying to do about that? I think that's like
there's yeah, there's a guy. Man, he does the. I was actually on it, I think one time. He does the real players of the backside.
yeah,
That guy's
that guy's the
that
man.
guy's great. That guy's great, man. He does this game well. He shows it's good stories and the stories from the past time and stories from now. I mean, he interviewed me and I was kind of thrown off guard about it. I was just told the door not going to stall, but I had no idea I was being interviewed. Um, as you can tell in my answers, I was like, like I am today. I'm not too good with the interviews,
No, you're pretty
but
good, dude. You gotta give yourself more credit. But yeah, like the social license of horse racing is definitely, uh, you know, it's something that we definitely have to think
yeah,
about. And I think I went to like one of the light up racing events
right,
when I was living in Kentucky, and they kind of led like a mini series on like okay, like how to respond to those sort of questions. And sometimes if it's an attack, most times it's questions like, okay, let's dig down to like, okay, like why do you think that? Like okay, you think that all horses are drugged. Okay, like why do you think that? Okay,
right.
like have you heard about these regulations? Have you heard that like they
The
test every
rules, yeah,
first second a random horse out of a race, and like a lot of times it's just a knowledge gap. People don't understand like all the things that go into it, all the things behind it. And a lot of the times it's because like it's like anything else in life. If it bleeds, it leads in the news. It's the murders, the homicides, the cities
yeah,
aren't safe, all that stuff. And obviously that's anything in life. But I think horse racing in particular needs to be we need to be more united in terms of the way that we respond to those questions, because the social license of horse racing is definitely at stake. And it's like horse racing is definitely a sport now. Like a lot of the money is powered from okay, like Kentucky, obviously Kentucky horse racing probably always exists, but even in New York, there's a specific amount of money that's being contributed to purses from gaming and casinos, because the economic output of horse racing is pretty high. But at the end of the day, like if the court of public opinion, if everyone thinks it's just like barbaric, terrible sport,
yeah.
obviously it's going to go by the wayside, like kind of greyhound racing did in Florida. So it's like it's definitely something that we need to be concerned with, and we need to understand how to respond to those issues. I always think back. I was at the Travers last year when New York Thunder broke down, and my dumb ass is sitting outside the paddock. I was like, that horse looks sore. I don't know, blah blah blah. And
You're
then the
right.
horse breaks down, and then I'm
Yeah,
in a bar after with like a group of like 12 guys. I just met 10 of them. I knew two of them beforehand, and they're asking me like, okay, why does this happen? Like, what the hell was that? Like, obviously, I was shooken up, and I was like, it was me and another kid that is very into horse racing as well, kind of bases like holding court. Like, okay, like here's kind of what happened. Here's why that happened. Here's why the horse to be put down. Here are the things they do to kind of try to prevent that. Obviously, like, if you're a horse running the field that could break its leg, it just happened to happen on the track right in
Right.
front of us today. Blah 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 blah. So it's like people just like see that and they're like, turn it off. Okay, that's
Yep.
done. And like
Yep.
we don't do a very good job of explaining, okay, like what all is going on here. So that's a very good point too. That kind of goes into it. Like we gotta do a better
It's
job, and it goes
it,
back to that united owners, like all these stakeholders understanding
yeah.
how to respond to those questions. Like I think that's kind of the biggest thing.
And yeah, I'll catch a point on that. The whole media thing too. It's not even the media; it's more thought of horse racing. I remember driving home from training on Belmont Stakes Day. Getting ready. We had two in that day. One ended up running door knock, and the other being scratched due to an entry problem, whatever. But driving back, and the road was all shut down. These people were on the street with horse racing kills horses, and they were chanting it. And I wasn't laughing or anything, but in my head I was thinking, really, what do these people know? It's PETA or whatever it is, and these horses are so loved and cared for. It's unbelievable. If you sent these horses out and turned them loose in the wild, I don't think they would last a week. I really don't. These horses are prima donnas as they get. They're not tough. They're not, they're like treated like royalty, man. Especially the good horses. Like I'm like looking at Dornock Stall and his groom Elio's bedded this thing like it's a 5-star hotel, and I'm like, holy crap! He's got the fresh hay. His water's
Even better
always
than you.
clean. Oh, he's living. Hell yeah, he is. And and I'm working he's working his ass off to make sure the horse is living better than he is. These guys come from all over the place, and respect the hell out of them. They work their asses off, and they make sure these horses live better than they do, and at the end of the day, we're caring more about these horses than we are our goddamn selves. And I don't know. And when I was in Saratoga at the end of it, man, I was just thinking like, really, do I really love this game, or do I, just love the horses? I love the horses. I don't love the people thoughts of. I don't like watching a horse break down. I don't. I don't love the people's thoughts of, you know, oh, the horse racing's just killing horses, or girls text me, oh, what happened to that horse? Oh, it got, didn't finish its race, and then being pissed off at you, even though you had nothing to do with it. I had nothing to do with that horse. I've been around many breakdowns and many deaths. It's just nothing. Sometimes you can't even control. Even if a horse goes to the race and it's sound as can be. Saratoga had a horrible year in 2022. Actually, I was there for when Maple Leaf Mel broke down in the Grade 1 test, and I was right in front. I was in a box, and I was like, dude, I left. I couldn't. That hurt
Your
me.
stomach turns and like no one
Yeah,
likes to fucking see
and
it.
I no, and I think it has to do with a lot of things with our state veterinarians need to get better, because I saw the horse the morning of jogging around the track, and she didn't look right at the Oklahoma track, and it was definitely a thing. I think multiple people saw it because I was up in the Whitney Tower, and you could see it from a mile away with a pair of not even a pair of binoculars, and all of a sudden I'm on Twitter that morning. It's like I watched Maple Leaf Mel go around today on the Oklahoma track with the pony, and she like soars a donkey or whatever. Happened to be she breaks down right at the wire. New York Thunder. I don't know if he was sore that not. I wasn't there. I think he could have been way too fast for his own well being. I remember Brendan's and Qatar Racing's horse the same day. Maple Leaf Mel breakdown on the grass. I mean, I don't know if that was anything to do with the track or what was going on, man. But the whole breakdown thing at Churchill, it's sad because you think we only have 19,000 foals a year, and you see all these horses break down. I know it's not a number equivalent to 19,000, but it's too many. But I love the animals. I love the people involved. I think it's a good industry. I don't think young people should leave school like I did and go work on the racetrack for 7 months in South Florida and ruin. I'm not saying I ruined my childhood, but be young. If you're young, stay young. Don't rush yourself to grow up like I did. That's what I tell my buddies all the time. Just be young, man. Go have a good time. Go out, party, do fraternity things, travel. The horse racing will always be there. It's 4 years of school, and it's 4 years that I need to buckle down and really focus on school and not push my childhood and my young age to be 30 years old. Or like I said, everybody stay young. Just keep being you, and that's one thing I'll always be myself. Just like, again, stay young. Don't push yourself to grow. Don't push yourself to grow up.
I think obviously, like, you might feel a certain way, but it's also afforded you, a lot of cool experience, and I think you've developed into like the young man you are because of it. So I think you got a lot to owe to it, too. Where you kind of look back to the kid, like they definitely taught me a lot of things and all that, like hard work and all the values that you picked up. But I think that's probably a good spot for us to finish on.
Absolutely.
But I want to run into these rapid fire questions that I always finish up with.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like mostly one-word answers, but
trust me, I'll answer them unlike Alex did. Alex took 3 paragraphs, 1 page of answers. I'll answer right away, rapid.
Oh, well, you might already know them, so you're kind of cheating.
Yeah.
All right. Clock starts now. Favorite track?
Saratoga.
All right. Favorite horse ever, like whether you witnessed it run or not?
That's a good one. I have 2. Independence Hall I worked with for Michael McCarthy, and then You Almost Had Me was a black type thoroughbred horse. I love that filly. I adored her. So she's not with John Stewart.
Okay, this is kind of a weird one. Each horse come out of the paddock gets a walkout song. What's your walkout song for all the horses that are under your silks?
The Boss. My buddies all call me The Boss. It's by Rick Ross. And we always say, if you want to be the boss, you got to pay the price. So that would be the one.
I like that. All right. When you hear the word successful, who is the first person you think of?
That's a great question, man. I can think of a lot of people. Jeez, I drew a blank. Man, I could think of so many people. I don't want to make any people mad, but my mom's very successful. My dad's very successful. The guy that keeps actually to my mind is Trip Vornholt. He's now retired. He was a CFO for Young Brands, which is KFC, Papa John's. That guy has done a lot for me. He's probably one of the most successful people I know. So him.
Oh yeah. All right. Do you have a quote you live by or think of often?
Live every day like it's your last one. Enjoy it. That's probably the one. I actually don't know who said that.
YOLO, Drake.
Right. Live every day like it's your last one. I'm always, we're always going to have a good time. We're never going to, when I'm at the track, I'm always having a good time, having a couple drinks. It's never serious. I can't say I'm ever like down to earth, being dead ass serious to anybody. I'm always sarcastic as hell or joking around. Yeah,
I remember you're a good dude. You texted me. I remember before our first race, and you're like, just have fun, dude. Don't take it too serious. Don't be one of those guys that just stick up his ass in the paddock. Just enjoy it,
No, it's a party, man.
Yeah,
it's
fun.
I'll say this real quick before we end. Black type thoroughbreds, man. Every time I've been to a race with them, it's a party. Mercedes Sprinter van, you're hammered before the race. You're not remembering anything after. Win or lose, you're always having a good time. So
you lose, we booze, Johnny
Johnny Manziel, baby. This industry needs a lot more fun and not too much. Be serious, but a lot more fun. That's what I'll end on. So.
All right. Any other asks or requests of the audience, whether to go follow you or do this, do that?
If you want to follow me, great. If you don't, you don't. No, just be true to yourself and have fun, man. And stay young. That's what I always tell people. Stay young. Don't push yourself. Don't push yourself too hard. So that's what I'll end on.
Well, Matthew, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a really fun conversation. Wish you nothing but luck. If you go to Churchill this weekend, cash some tickets. Yeah. Enjoy the sale there. Enjoy your semester at UK too. I'll be down there at the end of October, so I hope to see you.
I'll be seeing you there, yeah. All right, yeah, I really appreciate you having me on. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks, Matthew.
All right, see ya.